Nicoe Von Ruden, I was told, is the kind of person who lights up the room the moment she walks in. Born in 1967, she has worked as an elementary school teacher and as a producer for CNN and for the television show Entertainment Tonight. She did volunteer work at a school for the blind, with children who had cancer and with children who had AIDS because they had been raped or born infected. She was hardy and active. She loved whitewater rafting and mountain biking, had run a marathon, and had gone to Peru to hike the Inca Trail. One day when she was 33, engaged to be married and living in Shell Beach, California, she went to an eye doctor for double vision that had been bothering her for a couple months. Alarmed, he sent her for an MRI scan the same day. When the scan was done, she was admitted to the hospital. The next morning, January 19, 2000, she was told she had a rare inoperable brain tumor called a glioma in the brainstem, a narrow area that controls breathing, and that she had between 3 and 9 months to live. Nicole's parents immediately took her to the hospital at the University of California at San Francisco. That evening, their head of neurosurgery told her that her only hope of staying alive was massive doses of radiation. A surgeon's knife in that small area would kill her. On the morning of January 21st, she got her first dose of radiation and then over the next 6 weeks received the maximum amount a human being can tolerate, so much that she could never have radiation again. She was also given high doses of steroids to reduce swelling in her brainstem, which can also be fatal. The radiation saved her life, but was the beginning of new woes. About 2 or 3 weeks into the radiation, Nicole says, I started having tingling in my right foot. With time, it climbed up the right side of my body, up to my knee, hips, torso, and arms, and then my face. She was soon paralyzed and without sensation on her whole right side. She is right-handed, so the loss of that hand was critical. It got so bad, she says, I couldn't sit up or even turn in bed. It was like when your leg falls asleep and you can't stand up on it and it collapses. The doctors soon determined that it was not a stroke but a rare and severe side effect of the radiation that had damaged her brain. One of life's little ironies, she says. From the hospital she was taken to her parents' home. I had to be pushed in a wheelchair, pulled out of bed and carried, and helped into or out of a chair. She was able to eat with her left hand, but only after her parents tied her into a chair with a sheet to prevent her from falling. Especially dangerous because she couldn't reach out to break a fall with her arms. With continued immobility and doses of steroids, she went from 125 pounds to 190 and developed what she calls a pumpkin face. The radiation also made patches of her hair fall out. She was psychologically devastated and especially upset by the grief her illness was causing others. For 6 months, Nicole became so depressed that she stopped speaking or even sitting up in bed. I remember this period, but I don't understand it. I remember watching the clock, waiting for time to go by, or getting up for my meals, as my parents were adamant that I got up for 3 meals a day. Her parents had been in the Peace Corps and had a can-do attitude. Her father, a general practitioner, quit his medical practice and stayed home to nurse her, despite her protests. They took her to movies and out along the ocean in her wheelchair to keep her connected to life. They told me I'd get through it, she said, to ride the ride and this would pass. Meanwhile, friends and families sought information about possible treatments. One of them told Nicole about the Taub Clinic, and she decided to undergo constraint-induced therapy. There she was given a mitt to wear so she wouldn't be able to use her left hand. She found the staff unyielding on this point. She laughs and says, they did a funny thing the first night. When the phone rang at the hotel where she was staying with her mother, Nicole threw off her mitt and picked up after one ring. I instantly got scolded by my therapist. She was checking on me and knew that if I picked up on one ring, I was obviously not using my affected arm. I was instantly busted. Not only did she have a mitt, because I talk with my hands and I'm a storyteller, they had to strap my mitt to my leg with a Velcro strip, which I found very funny. You definitely lower your pride on that one. We were each assigned one therapist. I was assigned Christine. This was an instant connection. Mitt on her good hand, Nicole soon was trying to write on a whiteboard or type on a keyboard with her paralyzed hand. One exercise began by putting poker chips into a large oatmeal can. By the end of the week, she was putting the chips into a small slit in a tennis ball can. Again and again, she stacked rainbow-colored baby rings on a rod, clipped clothespins to a yardstick, or tried to stick a fork into Play-Doh and bring it to her mouth. At first, the staff helped her. Then she did the exercises while Christine timed her with a stopwatch. Each time Nicoe completed a task and said, "This was the best I could do," Christine would say, "No, it's not." Nicoe says it's really incredible the amount of improvement that occurred in just 5 minutes, and then over 2 weeks. It's earth-shattering. They do not allow you to say the word can't, which Christine called the 4-letter word. Buttoning was insanely frustrating for me. Just one button seemed like an impossible task. I had rationalized that I could get through life without ever doing that again. And what you learn at the end of the 2 weeks, as you are buttoning and unbuttoning a lab coat repeatedly, is that your whole mindset can shift about what you are able to do. One night in the middle of the 2-week course of therapy, all the patients were out for dinner in a restaurant. We definitely made a mess at the table. The waiters had seen top clinic patients before, and they knew what to expect. Food was flying, with all us trying to eat with our affected arms. There were 16 of us. It was pretty funny. By the end of the second week, I was actually making the pot of coffee with my affected arm. If I wanted coffee, they said, guess what? You get to make it. I had to scoop it out and put it in the machine and fill it with water, the whole thing with my affected arm. I don't know how drinkable it was. I asked her how she felt when she was leaving. Completely rejuvenated, even more mentally than physically. It gave me the will to improve and have normalcy in my life. She hadn't hugged anyone with her affected arm for 3 years, but now she could do so again. I am now known for having a wimpy handshake, but I do it. I'm not throwing a javelin with the arm, but I can open the refrigerator door, turn off a light or a faucet, and put shampoo on my head. These little improvements allow her to live alone and drive to work on the freeway with 2 hands on the wheel. She started swimming, and the week before she and I spoke, she'd gone parallel skiing without poles in Utah. Throughout her ordeal, her bosses and co-workers at both CNN and Entertainment Tonight followed her progress and helped financially. When a freelance job in entertainment at CNN New York came up, she took it. By September, she was working full-time again. On September 11, 2001, she was at her desk looking out the window and saw the second plane hit the World Trade Center. In the crisis, she was assigned to the newsroom and to stories that, under other circumstances, might have been simplified out of sensitivity to her special needs. But they weren't. The attitude was, "You've got a good mind, use it." This, she said, was probably the best thing for me. When that job came to an end, Nicoe returned to California and to teaching elementary school. The children embraced her immediately. They even had a Miss Nicoe Von Ruden day, when the children got out their school buses wearing cooking mitts like those at the top clinic and kept them on all day. They joked about her writing and her weak right hand, so she had them write with their weaker or less dominant hands. And says Nicoe, they weren't allowed to use the word can't. I actually had little therapists. My first graders had me raise my hand over my head while they counted. Every day I had to hold it up longer. They were tough. Nicoe is now working full-time as a producer for Entertainment Tonight. Her job includes script writing, fact-checking, and coordinating shoots. She was in charge of the Michael Jackson trial coverage. The woman who couldn't roll herself over in bed now gets to work at 5 a.m. and works 50-hour-plus week. She's back to her old weight of 126 pounds. She still has some residual tingling and weakness on her right side, but she can carry things in her right hand, raise it, get dressed, and take care of herself in general. And she has returned to helping kids who have AIDS.